In this next video, we're going to be doing question 67 from chapter 5. It's another find the error. First thing I'm going to do is paste in the code from the question. Right away you can see we got a squiggly line under here. You may instantly see what the problem is. And plus, if you're using Visual Studio or Xcode, you'll notice that it's got some weird formatting here, which suggests something's wrong. However, the first thing we're going to do is go up to the Build menu and click on Build Solution to look at our error list. First problem, as we expected, missing closing quote. The result is then a closing quote there. Okay. We got another one of these new line and constant errors, which tend to suggest that we've got an issue with our loop. We also have a syntax error missing semicolon before return. Well, we have the semicolon up here, so something else is amiss. Let's start looking at what's going on with the program. The comment says this program uses a loop to raise a number to a power. So it looks like we are asking the user to enter a number. We're setting that number to the variable num. We're asking them what power they want it raised to. And we're setting the power to the local variable power. We're initializing our number to the value of, or we're initializing a result, to the power that, or to the number that the user entered. And then it looks like we want to loop, and each time multiply the number by itself. So we can see that the problem with the syntax on the while loop is that it requires squiggly braces around the thing that you actually want to do multiple times. And then from there, we just want to output the value. So let's see what this does. Well, we get an error. The next problem, uninitialized local variable count is used. So we're trying to increment count, but it's never been set to anything. So what we can do is assign this one separately and set it to 0. We're going to run it now. Asks us to enter an integer. Let's do 2. And then we're going to raise it to the third power. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8, so we should get 8. So you can see when we enter that, we actually get a problem here. The result is 16. It looks like it raised it to the fourth power instead of the third power. Let's see if we can figure out what's wrong. So here, we're adding to count before we're checking, or after we're checking to see whether or not it's less than power. So what happens is initially it's 0, and then it's 1, 2, 3. But because we're using the post increment, by the time it gets to 3, we want it to stop because that's the fourth time through our loop. So there's a couple things you can do here. We can initialize count to 1, which should give us our value. That'll make sure we go through one less time the loop. So 2, raise it to 3, we get the answer at 8. Another thing we could do is use the prefix operator on here so that it will increment count before it checks if it's less than power. So the first time it's 0, the first time through the loop. In fact, we can put a breakpoint here. Okay, and then we can use our watch window. And let's check to see what count is and what power is. Okay, so the first time through the loop, it's incremented count, and then it's checked to see if it's less than power. Count started off at 0, we incremented it to 1, and 1 is less than 3, so it goes. The same thing with 2, and that's it. Because the third time it increments it, so plus plus count, if count was 2, then it becomes 3. 3 is not less than 3, so it does not execute this loop. If we were using the postfix, the third time through the loop, the count would be 2. It would first use it to see if it's less than 3, which it is, and then it would increment it. So hopefully that's a little example of the difference between the prefix and the postfix operator for incrementing. And to be honest with you, this should be, since you know the number of iterations before you go into the loop, if you read the chapter, you should know that what we want to use is a for loop. But anyway, this should fix the problem with this question.